Hey folks, I'm Clayton Collins, CEO at HousingWire and your host for the Powerhouse podcast. I've been looking forward to recording this episode for several weeks since we officially got it on the calendar. Our guest today is the CMO of Realtor.com, Mickey Neuberger. In this conversation, we get to explore Mickey's career path, how he entered the marketing landscape, his intense and geeky focus on data management, how that led to eBay, and then his current gig in one of the most important marketing roles in the real estate industry. Our conversation starts with his career, but it spans to big current initiatives at Realtor.com, including the massive buyer advocacy campaign that Realtor is running across the nation and in world right now. This campaign really got my attention last month when they ran a full page ad in the Wall Street Journal that said, "America, we have a problem." So I'll emphasize that. Realtor.com is doing a lot of work to bring together housing professionals, home buyers, and policymakers to understand the role and power of housing and real estate in the American economy. I hope you love and enjoy this episode with Mickey Neuberger, CMO of Realtor.com, as much as I did. Enjoy. Mickey, welcome.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
Mickey, we're joking in advance. I tried to go find another podcast of you in advance of our conversation to kind of get a feel for your style and flow. I couldn't find one. Are we, is this a first?
So first, I'm losing my podcast virginity today. So take it easy on me, Clayton.
I feel so honored as a marketer with such a kind of successful and storied career across fitness and e-commerce at eBay and now in the real estate industry. I'm shocked that nobody has pulled you on air yet, but I'm honored I'm the first person to do it. Mickey, since this is a first, let's start with your story. How did you begin your career path that's led to this current executive responsibility as CMO of Realtor.com?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think there's two routes people get to CMO. One is more kind of the brand and creative upbringing, and one is more data and analytics performance. I'm definitely of the latter. I actually started my career in computer science, and I was a developer and coder, and I went to a consulting company that developed websites and software applications. And I started as a coder and worked my way up. And I really became way more interested in the business and the marketing side of our clients' problems. So here I was, year 7, I was an architect at this company, and I asked to become a project manager. They were like, you want a demotion? You want to go from the tech track to the business track? Everyone was shocked. And I see how much CPOs and CTOs make. Maybe that was a bad career move. But I was just way more attracted to solving business problems and solving consumer issues. And I decided I wanted to go to business school. So I moved out here to the Bay Area, and I went to business school at Berkeley. I thought I wanted to be an entrepreneur. When I was in 8th grade, I had a candy business at school, a thriving candy business. So I would get into school early. I would go to the CVS. I would buy candy and I would sell it at school. And then the school shut me down because I didn't have apparently you need a license to do that. But I thought I wanted to be
8th grade. The middle school wanted a permit for pushing some M&Ms.
Yeah, exactly. I had this thriving business. So I went to business school and I fell in love with this database marketing class. Sounds so nerdy when it comes out of my mouth. It does. But it does. Just being able to run experiments, to predict what people are going to respond to be able to test it, and then to be able to show that you've driven lift. And I decided that this area of combining tech and stats and marketing was for me. And I held several roles in CRM, database marketing, loyalty after business school. Just so you know a little bit more about me. I even it was the time poker was booming as well. So if you Google me, you're actually going to see probably pictures of me playing poker. So I toyed around with being a professional poker player at the same time, which again combines this idea of data and analytics and experimentation. So I played in the World Series of Poker. I quickly found out marketing was an easier way to make money than poker. So I stuck with the marketing route. But this experimentation and analytics backbone was kind of born there after business school.
But so you found your way to organizations that operate like completely at scale with large numbers of customers, prospects. I'm like looking at your background with Travelocity, Loyalty Lab, 24-hour fitness, like very scaled national and international businesses. I imagine there's a common thread there. If you have data management expertise and love the analytics, that scale probably helps you, have cleaner analytics to know what levers to pull and how to move the needle as a marketer, right?
Yeah. I spent almost 9 years at eBay before coming the realtor. And I remember my first experiment at eBay. This was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And we created this campaign called Browse But Didn't Buy. So it's basically retargeting over email. And it generated the company $100 million lift, like $100 million. That the scale, I mean, eBay's nearly $100 billion of GMV. So the scale is just enormous. And that's really what I did. You're absolutely right. That's what I learned at these companies, how to set up teams, how to set up experiments, and then how to drive results at scale, whether it be in performance marketing or in CRM and database marketing. And that's what I brought to Realtor.
Judging by the numbers of emails I have from eBay in my inbox with old watches and vintage vinyl records, Browse But Didn't Buy is still a very active campaign.
Yeah. Clayton, do you open those emails?
I do. I think I've bought a few records in the last few months off of Browse But Didn't Buy. They brought me back in.
So it's working.
Yeah, definitely working.
When anyone ever tells me you're emailing me too much, I ask them, do you open them? And they say yes. And I say, well, then it's working.
Well, that's the crux. If somebody tells you you're emailing it too much, then that means you're making it to the inbox, which is like accomplishment number one. The scary part of running emails, and people don't say that, which means you might not be making it to the inbox.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So this scaled email marketing program at eBay, big success. Where'd you go from there? Was that like, where did you say, hey, this is time to go on to the next gig, or was there another test after that? Like, how did that path continue after browsing?
Yeah. Well, look, at eBay, I grew my team and I took over performance marketing. eBay spends, at one point, eBay was the largest advertiser on Google Shopping. I don't know if that's still true. So I continued to grow my remit at eBay, and it was global, and I had a ton of fun there. And then I had the opportunity to come be the CMO at Realtor. And I was very attracted to the opportunity as someone who bought their first home in San Francisco. And I just remember there's so much fear and anxiety, and there was a bidding war, and what do I bid? And then you basically, in San Francisco, you have to buy a house and waive everything when you buy the house. You have to just trust the paperwork, and then there's mountains of paperwork, and there's so much fear in what should be such a joyful experience. And I really felt like, that Realtor was poised to make an impact, and that we could use technology to make it a more joyous experience. I also thought I could help. I mean, probably on the surface, it's hard to see how eBay and Realtor are alike, but I'll tell you, a marketplace is a marketplace is a marketplace. Like the product itself, there's a search, right? And you're trying to find something that matches you. Same thing in every marketplace. And then you get to a details page, like we call it a listing detail page here, but it's called a view item. And
Yep.
and then what do you put on that page? And then how do you save searches? How do you save homes? And then look, also the power of a marketplace is its data. And like, how do you use that data to help consumers? So like, how do you price your home? Well, we have data to help you do that. So I felt like I could help because I understand how to drive results in big marketplaces. And I was attracted to the problem. I mean, another interesting comparison point is at eBay, you have this network of sellers, from small sellers like me and you to big companies like Target. So you have this B2B component, you have the B2C component, just like here where we have agents and brokers and teams and consumers. So lots of similarities. Also, obviously, lots of differences. I came into real estate right before COVID when the market took off, best market we've ever had, right? And I said it must be your new CMO.
Absolutely, attribution at its finest.
I didn't take credit for the last year and a half, though.
Oh gosh, hey, that's one of the burdens that comes with the C-suite title. You got to take the good and the bad. So Mickey, so when this opportunity presented itself, what objectives or parts of the business did you feel like you could step in and move the needle on? Like where did your energy go, either by your desire or by the rest of the executive team's like pull, and as you entered Realtor?
Yeah, there were a few. Look, we're in the business of driving very high intent, high quality audience to our site that is in the market and looking for agents to connect with to help them complete this dream of home ownership. And so as a CMO, my focus was really on how do we get all our marketing channels driving the highest quality audience possible, and really high intent. And I can geek out a little and go through that a bit. That was one, and then secondly, it was the brand itself. What does the brand stand for, and how can we rejuvenate the brand?
So let's tackle brand first, and then go into audience, because I think there's a lot of parallels we can draw between your earlier experiences in e-commerce and what you see in the real estate industry. But so brand, so like Realtor.com, part of Move Inc., part of one of the largest media and information conglomerates in the world. What were the opportunities and challenges you had with the brand as you entered?
Yeah. So first of all, our brand is born and backed by the industry. Realtor.com invented online real estate. It's interesting because eBay also invented like that someone would dare sell something or reuse something from their home. So the brand and Realtor, the name, not Realtor.com, but Realtor is 100-year-old brand. So like here we have a brand that professionals trust the most, that really stands for expertise. And I thought, what an amazing asset to lean into. And you can see that in a lot of our advertising today. We're the number one place pros trust. Like you'd be crazy in this moment, in this big financial transaction, the biggest in your life, the one with all this fear, not to use what the pros use. And we're really leaning into that messaging. And then, yes, we have News Corp and Fox behind us. And you've probably seen from us over the last couple of years that we're leveraging that network really, really heavily. And that's an advertising relationship. That's an editorial relationship. It's just that there's 100 million plus users on News Corp, on Wall Street Journal, on New York Post, on US Sun that aren't visiting realtor.com. And we have access to that. And it's a unique advantage we have.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge advantage. And it feels like an advantage that you are, where would you say you are in like how far you've scratched that advantage, and like how much more can be done with extension into the related media network?
Well, until all 100 million are visiting our site, so much opportunity.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing about housing and real estate. Like it's an addressable audience of people who have like raised their hands at some point in time and said, I prefer living under a roof than the alternative. And so like everybody in that network, whether it's Fox or Wall Street Journal, like uses housing, needs a house.
Yeah. Look, I think we're at the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I think there's so much opportunity there. Clayton, one of the biggest surprises I had when I showed up on my first day of work was I have 10 journalists and 10 economists on my staff. What? And they're churning out, 5 to 10 pieces of content a day. It's just, we have the number one journalistic capability for consumers in the industry. No surprise given, being owned by News Corp, but it's a huge investment we've made, and it's a big strength of ours, and it's something strategic that we're going to continue leaning into.
5 to 10 articles a day. Sarah Wheeler, you hear that? 5 to 10 a day. Just want to make sure my team at HousingWire hears that benchmark that's being set there, Mickey.
we're looking for syndication partners, Clayton. So,
hey, that I mean, I don't know if this is an on-air podcast topic, but I think that's something that you and I should explore a little bit.
It is. It is.
We've done syndication's interesting. So we've done. We syndicate through Yahoo Finance at HousingWire, and then we also have a deal with Bloomberg in the terminal. So like a lot of our public markets and market coverage is available in the terminal, and those are like that syndication is new for us. Those are like muscles we just started flexing this year.
Okay, let's explore that. I mean, Look, we think our journalistic capabilities complement our brand really well because it establishes us as the authority in real estate. And you've probably met our economist, Danielle Hale. She's just our chief economist. She's awesome. A lot of these folks come from NAR and have 20, 30, 40 years of experience.
So we talked about brand, which kind of led us into to audience and content.
Yeah.
So when you think about building a high quality audience, you've talked about like the access and advantages you have inside of the News Corp family. What other like tactics, priorities do you put in place to ensure you're building the right high intent audience?
Yeah. A lot of people think you can just build audience by buying it. And definitely spend. It's a variable, but it takes a lot of different channels working in concert. Something I learned, both at eBay and travel and in fitness. So like starting with SEO or free organic traffic. SEO is by far our biggest channel, which is such an advantage. We trade number 1 and 2 with Zillow often in terms of market share with SEO. The reason getting good SEO doesn't just come to you. Google looks at how fast is your site loading, can consumers do what they want to do? Is it a great experience for consumers? And by investing heavily into our brand for 30 years and having a name that's been around for 100 years, we're growing SEO. And so it's a huge part of our ability to drive high quality audience. When someone on Google is, searching, I want to find an agent in San Francisco, we show up. And then on top of that, there's the search you pay for, which is SEM, and that's a bit of my bread and butter. We have a team of data scientists and analysts and product managers and marketing managers bidding on millions and millions of keywords, constantly optimizing it. Social, obviously, our consumers are spending a lot of time on social.
Can we go a little deeper on social? So one of the things that we've seen at HousingWire and then kind of across the content ecosystem is a lot of the social platforms are deprioritizing posts with outbound links, and it gets increasingly hard to move traffic from platform to your owned and operated ecosystem. How does what role does social play for Realtor, and how do you, if that's a concern for you, how do you combat that type of new trend we're seeing in kind of the bigger social platforms?
Yeah, definitely true on Facebook. First of all, every social platform is different. What works on one doesn't necessarily work on the other. For example, our top performing videos on TikTok are these under $250,000 fixer upper type videos. And then on YouTube, we have these influencer videos it's like some influencer sitting on her bed, saying, I did this on Realtor, and just talking really fast and showing her phone, and that beats our high production brand ad. So we really do test every social platform. We test different formats. We find out what works, and we have a bespoke strategy for each. We've also really invested heavily in our organic social to combat this issue, which is people following us, and we've had amazing follower growth, the best in the industry. If ComScore has this extension that allows you to measure your audience on social that's engaged with you but not visiting you, so they're liking your posts. They're commenting on it, but it's not traffic coming to you. And if you look at that, we have 10%. If you take our traffic, you can add another 10% to our traffic of just people engaging with us on social. So we've invested heavily in our organic social.
That's really interesting. We talk about that quite a bit, about people who engage with the brand outside of owned and operated might not be a paid subscriber or newsletter subscriber or $10 events, but still engage on social. And how do you attribute value to that, or how do you prioritize that in a world of different marketing and content opportunities, thinking about that engaged but not actually visiting the domain?
Yeah.
So thinking about social is a big topic across the housing industry. Realtors, mortgage professionals all have their own social media strategies to connect with their sphere. Is there anything that you've learned at the scaled level at Realtor that's applicable to kind of the tip of the spear professionals who are out there selling houses or making mortgages every day?
We want to help. Is what I've learned, and there's a real appetite, as you say, for us helping, which is really what this buyer agency advocacy campaign was all about. It was about giving our customers the tools and the content to help amplify a message around buyer advocacy. And, in terms of helping our customers, we want to do a lot more of that, not just buyer agency advocacy, but, helping listing agents market their listings through AI and through video, and how can we help the industry, and how can we use our own expertise and what works in every single social channel to do that on behalf of our customers and create products to do that. It's a big opportunity for us.
So for our listeners who may not be fully aware of the buyer advocacy campaign, the initial ad that really caught my attention and spoke to me as somebody who lives and breathes housing, but I think also spoke to consumers and real estate professionals alike, was this big one-pager in the Wall Street Journal that started with, "America, we have a problem." So tell us about this campaign. Tell us about the breadth of like the avenues where the campaign was delivered, the objectives. I'd love to go deeper on that.
I'll start with the original campaign, which was the one before "America, we have a problem." Let me start even before that.
Okay.
One of the, I didn't cover this in why I joined Realtor, but like one of the big reasons I joined Realtor is because, we invented online real estate. By putting all the listings online for free, we drive this open marketplace that allows everyone to have access to listings. And I was very active to the social purpose of that, right? Like just being able to help people achieve the dream of home ownership, such a basic need, one of the most basic needs, shelter, and then also access to generational wealth. So this idea of buyer agency advocacy and fair housing was something that existed here before I came. It's really part of our DNA and part of how we were founded. And so it's very, very attractive to me. And this campaign has its roots in that, even though we've done stuff before this campaign and we'll do stuff after. The campaign itself was born on the insight that like buyer agency was just getting beat up, right? Beat up in the industry, even beat up by our competitors, beat up by the media. And the truth is, when you talk to consumers, 9 in 10 consumers say they would use their agent again. In fact, they say they were even compensated fairly. And I've used the same buyer agent several times in San Francisco. He's been my listing agent and buyer agent. I joke that he should name a room in his house the Mickey Neuberger room, because I've used him several times. But here is this group of people getting beat up, but consumers love them and they have so much value. And we felt like that was a real green space for us to take a stand and take a stand on behalf of our customers, take a stand to educate consumers, take a stand to educate policymakers. And so this idea was born of the 111 reasons to hire a buyer's agent. It was basically you think you can do it alone. Here's the 111 things you have to do, or just do one, hire a buyer's agent. And the list is, it's fine print. It's in print. Another way we're leveraging News Corp. It's in the Wall Street Journal. It's in this fine print, and it's completely overwhelming. There's no way you're going to read all 111. But that's exactly the point. There's a lot to do, and doing it alone or doing it directly with the listing agent that doesn't have your intentions in mind, like that would be crazy for the biggest financial transaction of your life. And so we felt like, given our platform, there was a real need to educate. So we launched this 111 to-dos on print, And then we launched it on social as well.
How do you measure impact when you run a campaign that speaks to multiple stakeholders? So in this campaign, it sounds like there's an agent objective. You're telling the industry that you're with them, you're behind them. There's the consumer objective where you're actually informing about the value of buyer agency and advocating for this professional to be part of the transaction and the value that brings. Then there's the Washington D.C. element, like helping lawmakers understand the value that our industry brings to the consumer, the homeowner, whether they're first time home buyer, low to moderate income, or generational wealth, as you mentioned. So like multiple constituents, how do you measure effectiveness, and how do you think about having a voice that resonates with a lot of different constituents?
The number one way we measured the impact of this campaign, and I have to say it's been the most successful campaign I've worked on in my 4 years here, is we created this toolkit, and we directed agents and brokers to the toolkit. And in the toolkit, you can find all the assets of the campaign. You can even make it your own. Like Clayton, you could download the 111 ads. You could put the HousingWire logo on it. Like we showed you how to do that. You could make the copy your own. There's videos. There's for LinkedIn, for Facebook, for Instagram, different videos, different formats. And you can really make it your own and then amplify it and share it with your network and stand behind the movement. With this campaign and the second version of it, the America We Have a Problem, which I can talk about, we have 30,000 folks come download the assets. We don't know if they share them, but we have 30,000. I mean, so you multiply the 30,000 by, let's say each of them had 500 in their network, and then they went and shared it. And this thing really went viral, which is awesome to see. We even had Rich Barton take our work and compliment us on that. That's our number one competitor, complimenting us on our work and standing behind it. And we love that because it's not about us. It's about the message of buyer agency advocacy. Robert Refkin took it and sent it, put it in the Compass colors and logo and sent it out to 30,000 of his agents. So there was a real hunger for it in the industry, and there was a moment, and we're proud to have been a thought leader in this space. And we want others to join. It's not about us.
As you look at the real estate industry, it feels like we're at a cultural point where there's an emphasis on collaboration and like this all of us mentality. And at the gathering, our big event in April, there was a group of attendees who were all wearing t-shirts that said hashtag all of us, and creating a environment of collaboration versus like what we see at some points in real estate and mortgage, an incredibly high tension, high competition, kind of boiling pot of big egos and objectives. And it feels like we're at this turning point now where the people who have maintained strength through this last 18 to 24 months, which has been incredibly challenging for the housing market, have their eye on a more promising future, but recognize the fact that we're not going to get there by ourselves. And no one person's gonna get there by themselves. It takes collaboration and an all of us mentality. And I think that's what you're pointing at when you talk about Rich Barton engaging with this content and being, having your competitor actually see the forest through the trees and work toward a better ecosystem for housing professionals and consumers.
Yeah, look, we absolutely believe that. We at Realtor.com, I mean, realtors have such an affiliation to this brand. We were started by realtors. We believe we have this network of customers and MLSs, and together we can serve consumers better. And we very much have that mindset. I think we have that mindset more than anyone else in any of the other portals.
So Mickey, we're in this buyer advocacy moment, but we're still probably pretty early in figuring out what the ecosystem looks like post the commission settlement, and we have some benchmark or some big dates coming up in the second half of the year. What's ahead for Realtor? What's ahead for your marketing objectives as you think about what needs to get accomplished in the coming second half of 24 and beyond?
Yeah, I should talk about the second phase of the campaign, which we're in the middle of. And there's going to be a third and a fourth and a fifth. This is like not a one-time thing. And there was one before it. But the second phase, the America We Have a Problem, was really focused on underserved communities. And we did it, I guess the insight there is, low income, minority home buyers, Hispanic, African-American home buyers that have been disadvantaged. You might make it worse, right? They need the most help. And they're the ones that are, and low income are not going to be able to afford to put up money up front for buyer agents. So don't make it hard for the people that already have it the hardest, which was the key insight for the second phase of the campaign. And we worked on that campaign with NAREP and NAREB and the Alliance and National Homeownership Council, HCA. So it was a coalition of partners, to your point, of all of us.
Coming together.
Yeah, all of us, a coalition of partners. And, we led with just, really strong insights like, the gap between Black home ownership and white home ownership today is bigger than it was when the Fair Housing Act passed in 1968. Like, that's just like, wow. And now we might make it harder. And so that was the insight that bore into this next wave of campaigns, which we ran in print and social. We updated the toolkit and gave more assets for the industry to share. And we'll do a phase 3 and we'll do a phase 4 and, probably do a bit of video and testimonial format. We want to share the great work agents do on behalf of consumers. And we feel it's a responsibility of ours to do that. And then just kind of generally in terms of fair housing, there's a lot we do. We have access to down payment assistance programs as part of the product experience. We offer resources in Spanish. This is part of our DNA.
Hey, can you go a little deeper on that? In the product experience, where does down payment assistance come into the flow? What's the consumer journey there?
I believe it's on the listing detail page.
Okay.
And in there, if you are interested in a loan, we have a database that we work with HCA, the Home Ownership Council of America. I don't know if you know Gabe, but he leads HCA. And there's a database we pull from that has down payment assistance programs that are accessible and that wherever you're looking, it's pulled based upon wherever the home listing is.
Interesting. So it just ramps an education curve faster for the consumer who's looking at a home that may qualify for a down payment assistance program, or if they meet certain criteria.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really important, because I think one of the there's a psychological barrier to home ownership right now, and I think in all markets, of just not feeling like you're ready or feeling like you can afford it, when the data actually shows that many more consumers are more financially prepared if they're able to take advantage of those programs than they even know.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, you know this, but there's an education component about generational wealth. I mean, imagine 3 generations where their grandparents bought a home, it appreciated, they passed it on, they passed it on, they passed it on, they passed it on, and or 3 generations of rentals.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just this huge compounding effect of generational wealth that happens when you buy a home.
Well, Mickey, I can't thank you enough for joining me for an episode of Powerhouse. I feel like we started to shine a light on not only the importance of marketing and real estate, but how it is actually helping improve the home ownership market, making home ownership more accessible, and bringing this industry together. Really fabulous conversation.
Well, thank you, Clayton. And we've even worked up a new business idea for our 2 companies.
I know. I love I love when I leave a podcast with some notes on my follow-ups afterwards. So, boom.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. All right, Mickey, have a great one. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.